This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
But I never talk stuff just to throw crap out, just to fill in and all that. I try to find something that makes a lot of sense and try to that it's relevant talk, in other words, and that it's not something that I'm reaching for or trying to just create something out of nothing, which happens on television a lot, happens some radio shows do it too. They've got a,
One of the things you love to say is don't force it.
Right.
You always say that, man.
Yeah. And so I'm reading the Herald, and Barry Jackson does a great job of finding nuggets at times and news nuggets and things like that with some of the teams. But here's where it gets ridiculous, and you start to – now you're reaching and you're just writing an article to fill space. And he's got this whole six-pack of Dolphin notes for Thursday. And it says, what's the Dolphins' biggest need entering year 2 of the rebuild? If the Dolphins draft picks Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt pan out, then there won't be a need at tackle. Clearly, upgrades can be made at guard, safety, running back, wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive tackle. But Football Outsiders, the respected metric site, believes edge rusher remains Miami's biggest need, even after the Dolphins added Agba and Lawson, right? And he talks about how they also, drafted the youngsters, Stowbridge and Weaver and all that. Now, let me ask you something. Did you need Football Outsiders to tell you that the Dolphins need an exceptional pass rusher? That they don't have Jason Taylor? Really? Did Football Outsiders or Barry Jackson? The key part of that sentence and that story is the first sentence in the story. What's the Dolphins' biggest need entering year 2 of the rebuild? It's a rebuild. They need everything. Jackson hasn't done anything, so they need a left tackle. Nobody's done anything at right tackle. They need that too. Nobody's done anything at left guard, right guard, center. They need a whole line. Of course they need defensive ends that are super studs. They don't have that. They got a bunch of guys to use as a rotation. I've been telling you that from day one. They didn't acquire any studs at those positions. They acquired solid rotational players. Nobody's done nothing opposite of Devontae Parker at wide receiver. Preston Williams had a nice half season. He's got a lot more to prove. Okay? Nobody's proven to be a stud running back right now for the Dolphins. And they've got 2 guys that have had success in this league that they signed in free agency, but there's no stud. We know that. It's year 2. Not only is it year 2, starting year 2, it's year 2, starting year 2 of a true rebuild too. We're not talking about a half-ass rebuild that you had your defense, you just got rid of a couple of offensive players, and you kind of drafted some young guys, and you gotta develop them to even out with the defensive players. No. You tore this thing down to the bone. So of course you need everything, dude. I can go as far as saying that even though you and I and a lot of people like what Coach Flores has done, he still isn't the guy yet until he does it again. He's only had one good year, and 5-11 is not considered a good year, but considering the talent, it was a great year because he had no talent. They need everything. Chris Greer's only been at this as a GM for a year. He's got to prove it too long term. They need everything, dude. Tua hasn't proven squat. They need a franchise quarterback. We're all hoping Tua's the guy, but he hasn't proven it either. That's when you're writing an article and you're reaching for subjects. And you know what? Instead of writing that article, he could have thought of what I thought of with the compensatory draft and how how canceling it actually benefits the Dolphins. Because any of the players that would have been exodus, now they have to wait till 2021 when Miami has a load of draft picks and an advantage over most teams because they have a load of draft picks. Oh, by the way, I'm not wearing my mask. So that's when I see that story, and that's when he does a great job of finding, little nuggets and stuff like that, news nuggets. But insight like this, that's not insight. That's just you're kind of reaching and you're trying to fill space in a very desperate time where it's tough to fill space. You know what I mean? The supplemental story that I gave you, there's not much to it unless you figure out what I figured out. And then that's your story. But this, Dolphins need everything. I know they don't have Doug Stanfill, and I know they don't have Jason Taylor. I get that, dude. I get it. I know they don't have a great sack artist. They got to get one. We'll see. Maybe Stowbridge becomes that guy. Maybe Weaver becomes that guy. I'm not sure. But they have those guys. They have Van Noy. They have Ogba. They have Lawson. They have a bunch of guys that they're going to use in the rotation. That's kind of what it is. Fresh bodies, and keep rotating them and keep attacking. And situational, too. I think some of these guys are going to help you in certain areas better than others. And that's probably what Flores is working on now. And then once he gets them on the field, he'll see what he is imagining translates to on the field. We'll find out. I find it amazing that in year one, with the amount of quality depth that has been added to this roster, competence in the front office is a beautiful thing. I agree.